Hello and welcome to DFS Coach Talk. I am Joe Sarvati, affectionately known as Coach, and I am joined by my playing partner, Mr. Andrew Hansen, and we are here to discuss the Charles Schwab Challenge played at the Colonial Country Club here in beautiful Dallas, Texas. But before we get to that, Andrew, all that I want to talk about for a few minutes here is the incredible accomplishment of the most unlikely, surprising victory that I can remember in years, and that is our man Phil Mickelson, who says 50 is prime time. So I'm the biggest Phil fan in the world right now because he's in my age group, and can you believe what he pulled off?
50 is the new 30. Man, what an impressive win, and so entertaining. I mean, the thing that jumped out at me was that he hit the longest drive on 16 of the field in the week, and he did it in the back nine in the final round. You know, just all jazzed up, and you know, he did not hold back. You know, he went after it. He was aggressive, but just enough of a tempered aggressiveness for Phil, because we know that he can get wild and risky. And, you know, but a lot of the commentary was that you had to be aggressive even in those conditions, and you had to commit to the shot. And that was the big thing that he talked about with his brother, Tim, his caddy, about how Tim, he woke him up and said, hey, you got to get committed on these shots. And he started to do that. The hole out from the bunker on the front nine, the par three, what a clutch shot. And, you know, he just took off from there, and, man, what an entertaining week, and exciting. And he's going to play this week, so we'll see. What do you think he's going to have left in the tank?
Oh, man. You know, after pulling that off, I wouldn't put anything by him. I mean, I didn't think it was possible. I got to be honest with you. When he had the lead, you know, on day 2 and then day 3, and I'm thinking, you know, the wheels are going to fall off. The back nine on day 3, it started to show. And then the very first hole, it was like bad shot, bad chip. And I'm like, okay, you know, the party's over. You know, not that I wasn't rooting for him, but I just had a hard time thinking he could pull it off. And, you know, it was a combination of him just being gritty and getting it done. And then all the other guys behind him, just nobody could make a run. The course was so darn tough. But I don't know, man. To play on the longest major as far as distance in the history of majors, and to have a 50-year-old guy win it, that's why I love golf. You just don't know what's going to happen, and anybody has a shot.
Yeah, you really don't. We may need to get some of the coffee he's been drinking.
I'll tell you what, it's going to be popular.
Yep. And how about this? He's won this tournament twice, what's now called the Charles Schwab Challenge.
That's right.
2000, 2008. So he's going to feel comfortable. He's going to have the great vibes. He's a lot more expensive this week. You know, he was in the $6,000 range on Draftkings. Now he's $8,500, getting the respect that he deserves as the 6-time major champion.
My gosh, I know. Yeah, I'm excited. I mean, cool thing for me is I've been at this tournament, you know, at least 3 or 4 times over the last 20 years. And it's a fun tournament. The course is a little tricky, but I mean, after that course last week, this is going to look like putt-putt for some of these guys.
Exactly.
I mean, it's 7,209 yards. So it's 750 yards shorter than what they played last week. So that tells you right there. I mean, it's just crazy. And it's a par 70 though, so that's a little bit tougher. But you know, this course, it's a long history. They've been playing this tournament for a long time, and you know, the guys that are from this area, that whole group of, you know, we've gone through multiple times of Spieth and Zalatoris and Na and just, you know, Palmer on down the list. These guys have played Colonial a boatload of times. I mean, some of them grew up playing it. Some of them, you know, have played it consistently you hear all the time those guys are out there when they're at home with a week off or whatever, they're playing Colonial. So I like the local flavor, and it's a really good field. A lot of times after a major, everybody sort of just goes their own way for a while. The European guys go back, but it's really drawn a great field, and there's a lot of guys with a good shot to win this thing.
Yeah, let's talk about a couple of the ones you mentioned, because Spieth and Na have won it here in the last 5 years.
That's right.
Spieth also has a couple second-place finishes.
Yeah.
So he's an important guy to evaluate this week. I want to ask you about Spieth and JT, and setting it up for you. They're in that same price range, in the upper tier. Spieth, he has the excellent course history here, and we have seen that a lot of these winners have played it multiple times because it is one of the courses with a long history. And you can see guys who consistently do well here. Spieth is right at the top of that list. He's in his third straight week of playing since COVID. Playing in Texas, and then he goes to play the PGA, plays all 4 rounds. Now he's back home for another one. On the flip side, Justin Thomas missed the cut at Kiowa, so he's had a couple extra days to rest and gear up. He played last year, tied for 10th, so he's coming back for his second shot at this one. How do you choose between those two, or maybe do you fade them both and go with a cheaper build this week?
I'm actually neither one of those options. Believe it or not, Andrew, and this is going to shock you because I don't usually play my golf lineups this way. I love both of them. They both played this a ton. Right now, Spieth's game is a little sharper. He's been consistently better. And I think he comes in confident. He gets to sleep in his own bed and play this course. And I think it's going to be very conducive to a top finish for him. And as you said, I think Justin Thomas, he got here early. He's practiced a little bit more here and gotten prepared for this with the very surprising missing the cut. And I think he's really in play. So I think I'm going stars and scrubs this week completely. Wow. I know, and I don't usually do that. I usually like to pay down, get that nice mid-level build where I feel comfortable with, getting my guys through the cut, because that's generally what you want to, your first goal is. PGA DFS, as you guys know, is way different than the rest. You just have to get all your guys through that cut if you really want to take something down. But I think I found enough value here that I can make these two studs work at the top and not only get guys through the cut, but then have a chance for two guys to both have top 5 finishes, which I think is very possible here.
Yeah, I wouldn't really argue against either one. Just the downside of Spieth with potential fatigue and JT not having as much experience here. But I do think Justin Thomas is going to be ultra motivated, to miss the cut like that in that frontline pairing he had. He's just got to be chomping at the bit to get out there and have another top finish. So you could certainly look there, but I don't mind a guy who's right behind them, Colin Morocco, who finished second here in the playoff last year. He's 10,500, so he's at least 500 cheaper on Draftkings. He had a better finish in the PGA, finishing tied for 8th. So we know that this is the type of course that suits him well. Smaller greens, great on the approach shots. But you probably can't go to Morikawa if you're going with those other two.
No, and he's dangerous all the time. Now, the one thing with Morikawa, as I mentioned last week, even though he's playing decent, he's still not putting to the level of where he can putt. So, these greens are fast, and you've got to, you really got to be zoned in. Now, we have had record rain in Dallas the last month, so everything on all courses are softer. All the Dallas area courses, they've really been soaked, and so there's no rain expected today, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So we should be clear. There's a chance of a passing shower, but I doubt it. So we shouldn't have any more rain. The course will dry up, but just knowing going in that's another reason I like Spieth and Thomas is there will be at least Thursday and Friday for sure. Then maybe it gets with those many days dried up more Saturday and Sunday. But I'm telling you, the earth is saturated here in Dallas. So it's going to be target golf a lot for these guys. They can, if they put it in play, they're going to be able to go at these pins and not have to be fearful of it, not catching or sticking or spinning back, whatever. And I think that's a real big advantage for guys like those two, because they're great at seeking out those pins and keeping those putts shorter. So, that's a little bit of, course knowledge here. And the winds aren't going to be terrible. I wish they were actually a little more, because, some of the guys I'm looking to roster are more Texas-style players. They're used to 15, 20-mile-an-hour winds. But the forecast has no more than 12-mile-an-hour winds down to 8, which is nothing here in Texas. And like I say, temperatures, low 80s, upper 70s. So it's going to be a fine tournament. They're having a decent amount of fans going to it. I almost was going to get tickets and go, but with all this NBA action going on with Coach Talk and everything, I just couldn't take a full, complete day, to get out there. I could have done it probably tomorrow, but just too much scrambling going on. And, I have a good view from my couch, as I would if I sat in that little bleacher area on 16 where I usually would go and sit. But I think it's going to be a fun tournament. I think you're going to have iron play going to be a big key. Like I say, it's way shorter than the tournament they played last week. They don't have the same winds to deal with, so there should be some decent scores. The only time guys struggle on this course if it's bone dry and you can't hold the greens and you're rolling the ball through the fairway into the rough. But I think with the softer turf, you're going to have some nice scores and some good play. So I'm excited for this one. I really am. And I think the field is terrific.
Yeah, pretty solid field. 3 of the top 10. And I wanted to hit on a couple of the other guys who've finished well here. So I want to touch on 5 guys and see if you like any of them. In terms of the more expensive guys, Berger, Finau, Rose, who have either won here or finished top 2, I am planning to most likely avoid Berger. It's rare to go back-to-back at an
rare
event
Berger.
like this.
I get it. Okay, I got you.
Didn't really like his weekend, 74, 76. No. Finau, on the other hand, finished tied for 8th, as did Justin Rose. And Finau has never missed a cut here. Yeah. Rose is a lot cheaper than some of these other guys. He's $8,900 on DraftKings.
Rose has played tough here forever.
Yep. So those guys are in play for me. And then 2 mid-tier guys for you to consider as you're building out the rest of your roster after paying up for the 2 studs. How about Chris Kirk and Snedeker? They finished 1-2 here back in 2015. They're in the 7K range on DraftKings. Now, Chris Kirk has missed his last 2 cuts. We know he can be inconsistent, but sometimes he'll just all of a sudden show up and give you a top 10. And then Snedeker has had 2 straight top 20s, and he likes these greens. So those guys are a couple that I think are worth mentioning.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there's like I said, I think there's a lot of good value. I was high on Kirk. He was playing such good golf, but man, 2 missed cuts in a row, that's a tough pill to swallow. But he's played decently here, also. But I think the Justin Rose call is a good one, because it seems like, year after year, he's always in the thick of it here. He always makes the cut. He likes this course. So I think he's a really good value guy here. Another guy that hasn't played great, but he is a champ here a couple years back, is Kevin Na. Is always playing this course, on his own. So I think his knowledge here, and he knows the way around the course. He's pretty inexpensive too. I think he's a decent play. So I definitely need some of your value gems to fill out this lineup. But let me give you a couple of odds here, and I'll do it just, let's go over the top 20 real quick. I'll give you 5 at a time and tell me who your favorite is out of that group, and, maybe who your fade is actually too. So you've got Spieth at 10-1, Justin Thomas 14, Morikawa 14, Answer 20, and Reed 20.
Yeah, I'll go for Morikawa here, as he's a little bit cheaper.
Okay.
In terms of a fade, tough to fade any of those guys.
I know.
To be honest, but I guess I have to fade Spieth and Thomas if I'm going to pay up for Morikawa.
Excuse me? Okay. This could be a challenge week here. We may be having a head-to-head duel for $5 just so we could post it everywhere and tease the other guy. That could work.
Yeah.
All right, the next 5, Berger 22, Finau 22, Connors 22, Zalatoris 25, and Mr. Neiman 25. How's that for a juicy group?
That is. Yeah, based on what we've gone through so far, I'll invest in Finau, and I will fade Berger this week.
Yeah, I'm not going Berger either. I'll tell you, Corey Connors hasn't done me wrong much. Zalatoris is my man, and this is home course for him too. So Zalatoris isn't as cheap as I wish he was, but I'm going to try to get him in there. I get it with Finau. I agree. He's awesome. I can't stomach the Sundays and him not winning. So I get too upset about that. All right, last couple groups, because they're just so good. Rose 28, Scheffler 28, M 33, Harmon 33, and Hoffman 40.
Yeah, wow.
Tough.
Who was the first guy you mentioned in that group?
The guy I'm using, Rose.
Yeah, Rose and the
Scheffler, M, Harmon, and Hoffman.
Those guys are hard to fade. They're
good prices too.
Right. Those are guys who I would think would make the cut and push for a top 20. So nobody stands out there as somebody who I think is going to play poorly.
Okay. And we'll do one last one, then it starts getting a little thin. I'll have to do one more after that just because Phil's in that next group. All right, so here's some other guys that have a good shot. Woodland, who played much better. He's 45. And here's where we may have to start talking about putting a few nickels in there. Kokrak 50, Grillo 50, Kirk 50, Horschel 55. And then Kevin Na 60.
All solid options. Na, like you said, he is the toughest one to evaluate this week, I think, because he won here 2 years ago, plays there all the time. His weekend in the PGA was 79-78. So coming in, it's the perfect contrast of a guy who's playing terribly, but he feels ultra at home. So he, of anybody, could turn it around on a dime. But maybe I'll fade him because of the strong course history and hope that he just doesn't quite put it together. But it's another solid group there. What are your thoughts on that group?
Well, I'm not a big GPP player, but I will probably throw one in because the home course here, and Na's going to make that lineup for me because he's a boomer bust guy. Yeah. But I'm not going to use him in cash because he could just as easily miss the cut. Even though Kirk missed the last 2 cuts, I like the way he's played this year. I like the way he plays on this course. I think Kirk is a sneaky little play.
And Grillo,
yes, he's dangerous.
He's had 3 top 20s in the last couple months. He finished 3rd here in 2018. I like playing him because he can be boom or bust.
Yeah.
And Hoffman, he's made 11 of 12 cuts here.
Oh, he's on fire. People don't realize he's on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah, 40-1. I'm telling you, he's going to make the cut. I'm just telling you. That's my call. Hoffman's making this cut.
It's a great bet.
And then, all right, I'll do one last one because I have to share Phil. We can't leave Phil out of anything for the rest of the PGA season. He's 66-1 this week. And then you got Sergio 66, who's played well here. Tringali 66. I don't know why they made all these guys 66. Same thing for Ryan Palmer, local, and your buddy who played great, Kevin Streelman. All those guys are 66 to 1.
Yeah, fade Sergio. He's been playing very poorly lately, missing cuts.
Yeah, I don't like him either, although he has played Colonial well.
Yeah. Phil Streelman, yeah, man, two of my favorite veterans really played well last week. Could Phil back it up here with another high finish? He could.
Hey,
he could.
Nothing after what he pulled off. Nothing would surprise me.
I don't think he'll make my first lineup with the higher price and the fatigue, but yeah, you're right. I'm not going to bet against him.
Yeah, so that's a big group, and some of the odds that make sense, and the field is pretty deep. I think there's a lot of guys that I didn't mention that are super cheap that have decent performances here. Siwoo Kim, Brendan Todd, Brandon Grace, Lee Westwood. Not a bad guy to make a cut and feel pretty good about. Keith Mitchell has had some success on this course. So there's a lot of choices, and my goal, at least this week, is going to be stars and scrubs, and get these doggone scrubs into being studs instead of scrubs. You barely have to change any letters. Yeah, Two-letter switch, and we get these guys through.
Speaking of that, Coach, final thing for me this week in golf, I'll mention two possible minimum price guys if you want to go stars and scrubs. Okay, which these are golfers that you wouldn't normally invest in because you usually take one high-priced player and then go more of a mid-tier from there where guys you feel really solid about making the cut. But here are two long shots to keep an eye on if you need to go that route. Michael Visakhi, whose minimum price, he made the big headlines at the Valspar as the local guy who qualified finally for a PGA Tour event, missed the cut. He played solid, but barely missed the cut. And I think that maybe he got a sponsor's exemption here. So maybe his second go at it here where he's not right down the road in that Tampa area. He doesn't have all that pressure. Maybe this is the week he makes the cut. So you could look there. And then Eric Compton, who is a veteran. He's recently been playing mostly on the Korn Ferry Tour, but this is a guy who has a lot of PGA Tour experience, some top finishes, and when he's going right, he's much better than a minimum price player. So if you want to take a flyer on a minimum price guy, I wouldn't mind looking at one of those guys.
Now that's what I call some deep value plays there. that is fantastic, man. I like it. I don't know if I have the courage, but I like it. There's no question about it.
Yeah, I mean they're a little young for me. Steve Stricker isn't playing this week, so I can't go there for value. So I got to go with one of those guys.
You generally have the senior tour dudes on there, but I can't even make fun of you for that anymore because the damn 50-year-old won the PGA.
Yeah, and Stricker was solid again.
He was. He is. What's really cool is he's going to be our Ryder Cup captain, and he's playing good golf. Right. So it's that garners respect from the team too.
Yeah, and Harrington,
I love that
on the other side with the T4 finish. Man, those guys, they're motivated to show they still have it. So they get to the Ryder Cup, and everybody in the room shows them that extra respect because they know they can still play.
And I'll tell you what, if you think that that's not a factor, you're crazy.
Absolutely.
That is a big factor.
Oh yeah, big time.
No doubt, no doubt. Well, fantastic. I'm excited. I unfortunately won't be giving boots on the ground updates from there because of all, right now it's just so NBA centered. We have all these great stuff, events going on and a lot of baseball. So I'm going to just try to keep it in the middle where I can handle a little bit of everything. What I am trying to garner, though, are a couple of Mavs playoff tickets. That I will make a little run for. I believe they've tripled the size of the crowd that's allowed. So it's going to be rocking. I think it's up to 16,000, if I'm not mistaken. And that kind of a group can make a lot of noise. So it's going to be fun.
Just in time to try to finish off Kawhi and company.
Yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. I would love nothing better to go into this weekend with some serious momentum in all of these things. And this is a great time to join. Jump in today. This will be out there. If you're a golf fan, certainly Wednesdays are our best day because you get our Wednesday night lineups, which give you the whole tournament. You get the DK Cash clipboard is what I'm trying to say. And then you get the Fanduel Yahoo lineups. And then the 3-day pass, if you get that for $10, it takes you through to Friday. And on Friday, we've had a huge success doing the weekend only Saturday, Sunday events that they have the competitions on FanDuel and Draftkings. And they pay great. A lot of people get in them. And so you'll get both shots at the Charles Schwab here with us. And then with that membership, you get everything we have, all our basketball, all our, golf right now, and of course, all of our baseball. So great time to join. Go to dfscoachtalk.com. If you have any questions, you can check us out on Twitter. We're all at DFS Coach Talk. Andrew is at Language Olympic, and I am at JOESARVADI. And that pretty much wraps it up. If you're watching this right now on YouTube, really important ask for us. Take a second here on the way out. Hit the thumbs up, the subscribe button, and the little alert button in the upper corner. That'll let you know when our podcast posts. And we really appreciate, the thumbs up and certainly the subscribe. And if you're listening to us audio on all of our different outlets, whether it be Podbean, Stitcher, iHeart, Google Podcasts, Spotify, take a second, give us a 5-star, a couple of words of encouragement, if you will. And we have a contest once per month for anybody that's given us either the thumbs up and comment or 5 stars and comment. And that's they win a free week of Coach Talk. So we'd love to have you join us for sure coming into this weekend. Everything's going full steam here. We've been hot, and we hope to keep it going. So I really appreciate it. Any final words on your side, Andrew?
Let's crush these lineups like Phil.
Yeah, that's our motto. Be Phil. Be like Phil instead of be like Mike. We're going to be like Phil.
Be like Phil.
Outstanding. Well, have an awesome week. Enjoy the golf tournament. Like I say, you shouldn't have any weather issues. So they have some good coverage coming up throughout all 4 days. And enjoy the basketball, baseball, and come and join us at DFS Coach Talk. We would love to have you. So appreciate it. And we'll certainly be back like we are every week with PGA. And we are going to look to crush it. So we'll see you again next week.